Hello everyone, and welcome to Biopedia. This week, I'm going to discuss the one genetics example we all learn at school the first time it's brought up, eye colour. You know the drill. Brown eyes is dominant to blue eyes, and blue-eyed people have inherited 2 copies of the blue-eyed allele. Sadly, this is not entirely true, but I'm going to save the discussion of the exact genetics of eye colour for another date. Instead, I'm going to talk about the function behind these genes and what they code for. What is it, functionally speaking, that really causes eye colour? The ultimate cause of eye colour, in the case of blue-brown eyes at least, is where melanocyte cells, and what they contain, are within the eye. Melanocytes are cells which contain melanosomes, organelles with pigment inside them, melanin in this case. An iris which has a high proportion of melanocytes with a lot of melanosomes inside them will become a brown iris, while a blue iris results if there is not a lot of melanin. There are 2 layers of the iris, namely the anterior layer and the stroma beneath it, if you want names, which are most important for this determination of colour. The middle path results in the eye colour we commonly know as hazel. Also, if someone's eye has a darker ring nearest the pupil, this means that they have more melanin within the so-called peripupillary ring, which can occur or not occur independently of the subsequent eye colour of the main iris. Keep in mind, by the way, with all of this, that eye colour is actually a continuous spectrum rather than several discrete eye colours, but for generalisation I thought this was suitable. So, how does this work? When light enters the eye, it encounters the melanocyte cells, which are clustered together in the iridial stroma, parallel to the eye's surface. The number of melanocytes is roughly the same throughout all eyes, but the important thing is, as I said above, the amount of melanin within the eye. Depending on the spectrum of wavelengths absorbed and reflected, you can end up with different colours within the iris. Melanin is synthesized through a complex pathway with several steps, meaning there are several genes which can have an impact, namely, genes coding for the enzymes that move the pathway along. There are 2 forms of melanin which can be created, the brown-black eumelanin and the red-yellow pigment pheomelanin. As an aside here, these are also the same pigments involved in hair colour, with pheomelanin being the pigment of red hair. Each melanocyte has the capacity to produce both pigments in separate melanosomes. The ratio between 2 individual people can be drastically different, and, as far as I can make out from the paper I accessed, it is this ratio between the 2 kinds of melanin, as well as the amount of melanin in the melanocytes and ultimately in the iris, which determines eye colour. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, comments or suggestions for future episode topics, you can get in touch at biopediapodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, have a great week everyone.